Welcome to this brief lecture on fluid mechanics, and in this class we will see how to superpose source and sink flows, and the same method could be used for irrotational vortices. We will illustrate this with examples from source and sink flow. Recall that what we had shown was that for source at origin, we had the stream function psi was given by m theta, and the velocity potential phi was given by m log r. Let's just show this, and this is for source at origin. So if this is the source at origin, we saw this flow looks like this, and m is the strength of the source, and sometimes people use Q for strength of the source, and Q over 2 pi is what we are calling as M. So you could have one of these notations, and this is what happens when we have a flow with source at the origin. Similarly, if instead of source there is a sink flow, then M gets replaced by minus M, which means the flow looks like this. And this we have seen, and from here now if we have to find VR and V theta, then VR is equal to partial phi by partial r, because of this at any point r, which is at a distance r and theta, we want to find the velocity components. So VR is partial phi by partial r, which will be equal to m by r, and V theta is equal to 1 over r partial phi by partial theta, and that will be equal to 0. We could have also used the expression for psi to find VR and V theta. Okay, so this is what happens when we have a single source or a single sink at the origin. Now let us say that in a flow, if the source is not placed at the origin, the source is placed at coordinates a comma b, then what is the corresponding psi and phi for this source? And as you know, r, if I put it in terms of x and y coordinates, or the Cartesian coordinates, is x square plus y square, and theta is equal to tan inverse of y by x. Now if the source is displaced by a comma b, you can easily expect what will happen is x will be replaced by x minus a, and y will be replaced by y minus b. So therefore, for this flow where the source is placed here, psi will be equal to m times tan inverse of y minus b divided by x minus a, and phi will be given by m times log of square root of x minus a square plus y minus b square. So this is what we need to do when we displace the source from the origin. The same thing can be done in case of a vortex. Only thing is, in the vortex we will have psi will be a constant times log r and phi will be a constant times theta. So just they will get interchanged. Now, to illustrate how these things could be used, let us take another example where we superpose uniform flow plus a source at minus a comma 0 and a sink at a comma 0. So now we have, let's try to just draw this. This is our coordinate axis. And what we have is uniform flow will look like this. And for uniform flow, we'll just write the various things. Then we have at this distance minus a, or a distance a from the x-axis on the left, there is a source of strength m. So source of strength m. And sink also is of the same strength, sink of strength m. So at this distance a, we have a sink. And the question we pose is, what is the superposed phi? What is the superposed psi? So now if I look at it, phi for this is equal to ux. This is phi for the uniform flow. Phi for the sink will be given by m by 2 log of r. So now it becomes log of square root of x plus a square plus y square. And for the sink, it becomes minus m by 2 log of square root of x minus a square plus y square. Now we can simplify this. So what we will write is phi is equal to u of x plus, we have, actually I made a slight goof up here. This m by 2 should have been just m. It is m log r. The 2 comes when I remove the square root away. I just did a mental calculation a bit too fast. So then this will become plus m by 2 log of x plus a whole square plus y square. And this becomes minus m by 2 log of, now I will get x minus a whole square plus y square. So this is how we superpose the phi's. Now, if I try to do the superposition of psi's, then for a uniform flow, psi is given by uy. For the source, psi will be equal to m times tan inverse of y by x. So now y becomes y, x becomes x plus a. And for this, psi becomes minus m times tan inverse of y by x minus a. So this is psi for the sink. This is psi for the source. And this is psi for the uniform flow. So the total psi becomes u times y plus m times tan inverse of y by x plus a minus m times tan inverse of y by x minus a. So this is how we can superpose sources and sinks, or maybe vortices if they are not at origin. Now of course we can use some formulas. For example, we know there's a formula tan inverse a minus tan inverse b. This becomes tan inverse of a minus b divided by 1 plus ab. Or you may come across where two things are added up, then tan inverse a plus tan inverse b becomes tan inverse of a plus b divided by 1 minus ab. So you could use these to combine the two tan inverse terms. For the log terms, you can also, log of A plus log of B. You can use log of AB, and log of A minus log of B becomes log of A by B. But now one thing which you could see is that if you have to find the velocity in the superposed field, then the easiest thing is keep the terms separate, because we can superpose the velocities also. So here, for example, I always like to differentiate log instead of tan inverse. So phi was given as ux plus ln, what did we have, m by 2 ln of x plus a square plus y square minus m by 2 log of, or ln of, x minus a square plus y square. Notice I'm using ln and log interchangeably, which means I'm assuming log is to the base e. So now here, if I want to now find the velocity, Vx will be equal to partial phi by partial x. So this will become equal to capital U, and then I differentiate the first term, I get m by 2 times log. So then I get 1 over x plus a whole square plus y square, that comes in the denominator, times 2 times x plus a, and minus, I'll just go by the same thing, 2 times x minus a divided by x minus a whole square plus y square. And similarly, I can get Vy by differentiating phi with respect to y, and that will become equal to, the first term gives me 0, I will get m by 2 times y divided by x plus a whole square plus y square minus m by 2 times, I get 2y again, by x plus a whole square, sorry, this will be x minus a whole square plus y square. So this way I can get expressions for Vx and Vy. I'm not going to solve the full thing, but if you need to find the expression or the stagnation point, then first you will see, you put Vy is equal to 0. This gives you simply y is equal to 0. Put this in expression for Vx, and once you do that, you will get x square is equal to a square plus 2am upon u, and which will imply x is equal to plus minus square root of a square plus 2am upon u. That means these are two symmetric points. This is where the source is, because x on the negative axis for the stagnation point is bigger than a, so the stagnation point will occur somewhere here, and on the same distance here, that means the sink was here, beyond the sink there's another stagnation point. And if you plot this streamline looks like a closed body, and this is called a Rankine oval. This is a full body which is closed, and you can work out, as we have seen from the expressions, the drag and the lift force on this will turn out to be 0. We are not doing this, but you can show these things. Now, one more question I pose before I end this small discourse is that to find velocities when we have these sources and sinks which are displaced from origin, can we work in r theta coordinates also? See, what I had done was I have changed in example above, we changed to xy coordinates. And let me illustrate this with a with just this, I'm not going to consider the source because the uniform flow. Suppose if this is there, we had the source and the sink. So this is A and this distance is also A. Now, if I have a point x comma y, I want to find the velocity at x comma y. Then what I can do is, what I know is, if I join x comma y, this coordinate, this length is r and this angle is theta. Suppose if I join x comma y with the sink, let this be called r2, let this angle be, from the x-axis, let this angle be theta 2. And let me join this point here like this, and let this angle be theta 1, and let this distance be r1. Assume it's a straight line. Well, it has turned out slightly messy here. So now what I know is, due to the source at the point x comma y, the velocity is equal to VR1 ER1 plus V theta 1 E theta 1. This is the general expression, of course. So that means now, if I'm joining from this point, this direction is ER1 and perpendicular to this is E theta 1. So the velocity is VR1 ER1 plus VR2 ER2, and this ER1 makes an angle. ER1 we know is cosine of theta 1 I plus sine of theta 1 j. This is ER1. And E theta 1 is equal to minus sine of theta 1 I plus cosine of theta 1 j. So now I can find the velocity. We know due to R1, due to source 1, VR1 is equal to m by R1 and V theta 1 is equal to 0. So that means the velocity due to R1 at the point, or due to source at a comma 0, this will be equal to m by R1 times ER1, which is cos theta 1 I plus sine theta 1 j, and there is no component of V theta 1. Similarly, if I join with VR2, so let me show with another picture. So this was the point x comma y, some general point. I am now only joining. This was a comma 0. This was the sink here, and I joined this point. Let's call this as R2. This was theta 2. So now the velocity at xy due to the sink at a comma 0. Now here this should have been minus a comma 0. This will be equal to VR1 VR2 ER2 plus V theta 2 E theta 2, and ER2 will be equal to cosine of theta 2 I plus sine of theta 2 j, and E theta 2 will be equal to minus sine theta 2 I plus cos theta 2 j. And for this particular case, we know VR2 is equal to minus m by R2. So this will become equal to, and this will be, so therefore the velocity will be equal to minus m by R2 times ER2. So it's cos theta 2 I plus sin theta 2 j. And the other component would, because V theta 2 is 0, so therefore that becomes 0. So this is how one can just write the expressions, and we can get the we can superpose velocities from sources and sinks also. Now, one thing which will happen is after we superpose these, then how do we find pressure in these flows? Superposed flows, how do we find pressure? And what you realize is that while velocity, phi, psi can be superposed, pressure cannot be superposed. Why it cannot be superposed? Because pressure in these flows goes like V square. So it's a non-linear term. So what you have to do is you first superpose the velocities and find V square, which is Vx square plus Vy square or Vr square plus V theta square. So we first find the velocities, and once we find the velocities, then we can superpose the velocities, add them all up, and then find Vx square plus Vy square or Vr square plus V theta square, and then find the pressure. Okay. The last thing, if we have a wall in a flow, then the wall is like taking a mirror image. So for example, if I have a clockwise vortex and a wall, this is equal to a clockwise vortex and its mirror image across the wall, which would be a counterclockwise vortex. And automatically when we superpose the clockwise vortex and counterclockwise vortex, this wall will be a streamline. So therefore, if I have a wall, I can obtain the same flow by taking a mirror image of the original thing. So therefore, for example, we've just shown this. If we have source next to a wall, source of strength M, this will be equal to the source here, and we take the mirror image. Now mirror image of the source is still a source. So if this is at a distance A from here, then we have to put another source which is an image of this at a distance of minus A. Similar to this, if you have a source placed here in a corner, now this would be equal to image of the source here, image of the source here, and an image of this source here. So this would be equal to images like this. And this is how one can get effects of walls in these superposed flows. With this small discussion, I end this lecture, and we will continue from here in lecture 26.